What's going on, everybody? This is Stephen Pierce, and this is Circle to Circle. Welcome back after a little bit of a hiatus here. I want to kick things off by talking about the New York Rangers, of course, here in New York, where we're all fans, I'm sure. The Rangers now currently sit third overall in the National Hockey League with 32 points in 20 games. They sit with a 15-3-2 record, one of their best of all time in franchise history. Now, the reason I want to talk about them a little bit is because, now, while I sit third, they do have games in hand on both the Dallas Stars and the Canadiens, who sit with 34 points just ahead of them. And a lot of people are giving the Rangers enormous amount of flack, if you will, because of their numbers. Their Corsi and Fenwick, all these stats guys coming out saying the Rangers have just been incredibly lucky. They haven't been able to really do anything so far, despite the fact that they have an insane record. They've had such a tear, losing only once in the past month in regulation. That's incredible. That loss, of course, coming to Tampa Bay, which hurts them a little bit more than some other ones. But then they bounce back, and after they look very shaky on Saturday night in Florida against the Panthers, they let a 2-goal lead go to waste pretty much in the final minutes, and they virtually let it all go to waste as Smith gets denied on a penalty shot from Lundqvist. Thankfully, he keeps him in the game, and then Rick Nash puts it away in overtime, and they can hopefully put that one behind them. But there's much to learn because of that. Now, looking at the defensive numbers, like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot to realize about this team. Now, granted, they played phenomenally well so far. They're in the Metropolitan Division, leading by 7 points right now to the Capitals, who are behind, or 5 points, behind them are the Capitals. And a lot of people didn't expect this to happen, but are questioning why this is happening if the stats are so bad. The Rangers are not leading the league in really anything as far as the stats guys are concerned. They don't have good possession numbers with the puck. So that's really concerning to a lot of those guys out there who are concerned with stats, obviously. Teams like the Los Angeles Kings, who won the Stanley Cup 2 years ago, had phenomenal possession numbers, and the Rangers really are not there right now. And the reason they're doing so well, obviously, the number one guy, one of the best goalies in the world, maybe the third best, but no lower than that, is obviously the King, Henrik Lundqvist. He's got a 9.43 save percentage, which is just outrageous at this point in the season. And he also has a 1.85 goals against average. He's just absolutely putting the team on his back right now. And the reason he has to do so is because the Rangers really haven't played so well defensively, and I don't know what it is and why they won't wake up and kind of shake off the rust. There have been emergencies here and there from guys like Mac, and I think Girardi has kind of found his game a little bit. But if you look at games like Florida and Tampa Bay, when they make some silly plays in the offensive zone and the D's not able to either hold it in at the blue line, and then Tampa Bay gets a shorthanded goal to seal the deal, or Stahl's not able to clear the puck after finally winning a defensive face-off in our zone, and he can't clear the puck. It's just little things like that are not going well for the Rangers. And I shouldn't say not going well. They're just not doing them is what really needs to happen. And guys, our defense, the Rangers' defense, is so superior, especially looking at some other defense in the league, and I'm wondering why they're not going to wake up, or why they haven't so far. Eventually they're going to get going, and I'm wondering, this team that loses once in 1 month in regulation, what happens when they actually start to get going, like the Rangers are capable of playing, how we know they're capable of playing? A lot of questions going through my mind, but right now it's mostly why is the D not being able to do well? And I was actually fortunate enough to go to a game about a week and a half ago now, the Maple Leafs game on that Sunday, and it was just an atrocious game. Watching at MSG, able to witness the Rangers live is totally different than on TV when the horrible MSG cameras only go to like the close-ups on each individual player, which is really annoying because you can't ever see the play. Or what's happening afterwards. God forbid there's a scrum. You're never going to get shown that. I was able to see there, and what they're not doing, it starts obviously with the defense. And with Alain Vigneault head coach's system and Scott Arniel, those guys, they want the system to be the defense, crisp passes. They want the defense to skate up the zone a little bit, quick pass in the neutral zone, break into the zone, and if they're not able to do that, at least get the puck in deep. Obviously, that's the number one rule, really, besides North and South hockey. You need to get the puck in deep. And when I was watching the Rangers, they're standing still. They're not moving their legs. They're not making crisp passes. They're not able to connect, and that stems with the defense. I'm not sure what exactly they're thinking, but I can tell you from watching that game, I think Girardi may have shown up. He was able to actually shoot the puck for once and hit the net, which is interesting because that's something we don't really see from him. And he was moving his legs and making plays. But the other guys are just standing in the defensive zone. They're not moving their legs. That's something that really needs to happen. That's where everything stems from. You need to keep continuously moving your legs, whether you're on offense, defense, neutral zone. Doesn't matter where you are, you need to skate. That's where everything stems from. And the defense is not doing that. So when I look at them, passing up to the forwards, making these stale, long stretch passes. First of all, that never works, especially in this kind of system. They need to skate up through the defensive zone, make passes back and forth, and if it's not there, do not force it. You have a little bit of time. Granted, the forecheck is going to be stronger in some games, depending on your opponent, but you need to be able to make passes and skate the puck up. Because if you don't, you're going to make that long stretch pass. It's going to get turned over, whether it be on the forecheck or in the neutral zone, and that's why your possession numbers are so bad. They need to get that down. They have not been able to do that so far. And you've obviously seen stretches of it. Which has been wonderful. And when they've been able to execute very, very well. But so far, that's not what I'm seeing. They need to do a better job of skating, which is just so basic. But that will help this team tremendously. And they need to be able to get out of their own heads and in this system now. Just really, I know he's with Alain Vigneault's with the team now for his third season, so you understand the system at this point. There's no more excuses. I know you're it's a quarter of the way through the year so far, so there's plenty of time, and they put themselves in tremendous position to be in the playoffs. So that's okay, but they really need to wake up, or else, like the stats guys are saying, the possession numbers are going to affect the Rangers. You cannot rely on Hank to be the mainstay as he is. He's 33 years old now, but he cannot be this tired when you come to the playoffs because he's just going to not be able to do it. That's the problem. So among those things, it's really the forwards that are also an issue because you have depth scoring. You have leading guys that you would not expect to come back this year and be the guys. Obviously, you want Rick Nash, and I knew from the beginning he was not going to have the same season. Now he has to have a regression. He can't have a phenomenal season like he did last year. But hopefully he wakes up now. 5 goals on the year, just had the hat trick. So it looks like he's finding his touch a little yet. He used his big body for once, which I've been saying he needs to do. He was able to beat the forward at the outside, and Luongo's got to stop that puck, obviously, in net against Rick Nash. But he's using his body. He's able to kind of shield the puck as he does so well. It's almost like a signature move. He's able to use his hands and his body to lean against the defender and rifle a shot in and score because he has those hands. Now, that's something you need to see a little bit more from Rick Nash. And then Zook screening Bobby Lou in net in the overtime, and Nash is understanding that. And he rifles a shot in there, and his shot is phenomenal. So now maybe he has the confidence. He's got the touch. Now we're going to see him emerge. But really what I just don't understand. I cannot fathom. It's Chris Kreider, this human muscle, if you will. He's the one that needs to use more of his body and understand that. He needs to be confident. And he's had two consecutive games now, he had penalty shots where he has just looked awful. His technique is so bad. He comes in fast the first game and nothing. And then he's convinced that Robert Luongo got the knob of his stick on the puck. But he has to have success like he's had in the past, maybe coming in from the left because he's a left-handed shot. Coming in, if he's coming with speed, come in from that circle on the left-handed side, come across, come to your backhand and beat the goalie. That would be something that you need to do. And he's just coming in straight forward with speed and rifling the shot. And that's not going to be what's going to stop a goaltender in a shootout. In a breakaway, maybe because they're less expecting, but they're more prepared now. They're going to be at the top of their crease. They're going to be taking away so much of your shot. And if you're coming straight on, they're squaring up to you. If you're not making a move, you're literally giving them the puck. You might as well just shoot at their chest, which is basically what he's been doing a lot of this season. And I want to talk about why he's not been able to do that. I think it's mainly his big body. And do I think that we're ever going to see him emerge? I think there's enormous pressure of everyone discussing his elite potential in the beginning of the year and expecting him to break out. I think that's put an enormous amount of pressure on him, and he just hasn't been able to succeed so far. And granted, we're only a quarter of the way through the season, even if that at this point. but he really needs to shape up his game because the leading point scorer right now is Matt Zuccarello with 21 points. He's got 10 goals and 11 assists. He's having a phenomenal year. He's been able to put up 3-point games almost in like the past 5 games he's played right now, with the exception of Tampa Bay where he had no points. He was kept off the board. But he has been such a solid player for the Rangers. He's what they need right now. He's scoring goals. He's creating opportunities for other guys. His passing is very crisp. And he's coming off a horrendous injury, a brain injury, a cracked skull there, a fractured skull, and a brain injury that was, he couldn't even speak for a few days. He had loss of use in his arm. And so this is tremendous for him to come back. But it really needs, guys need to step up, because if Matt Zuccarello is your leading point scorer, what are you doing? And maybe now Rick Nash is going to break out. But then you have guys like Oscar Lindberg, also not far behind him, and Kevin Hayes. And these guys, depth scoring is great, but when you're not led by these guys, what's happening with your team? And it goes back to the possession numbers and all that jazz. But when these guys wake up, I think the team will start to kind of turn around a little bit. They've already been playing not well, but they've been able to win. They're leading. They're not winning. They're not leading anyway in shots attempted. They're being outshot by a tremendous margin at this point in the season. But that's because they've been playing with the lead for more than, I think it's like 441 minutes. They're playing with the lead now, and they've only been trailing for about 99 minutes, which is so much further from the next team, which is the Canadians at 400 minutes leading. So they've been doing a phenomenal job, and obviously if you're leading, you're not going to shoot the puck as much because there's a lot of pressure coming at you, which is, I think, one of their downfalls as well. They need to keep maintaining that pressure so they keep winning games, and they obviously have a phenomenal record when they're leading after 2 periods, but that's besides the point. They need to emerge as a team that is full, that is complete, because you cannot rely on your third line and Matt Zuccarello. As phenomenal as he is, other guys need to step up, because if he keeps maintaining this blistering pace, that's phenomenal. But if he can't, you need to see something change, and I think that's where the Rangers really need to take that into account now. Starts with the defense, moving their legs. Obviously, the offensive guys need to find their touch. There's some shutdown lines. They're playing very good defensively here and there. The forwards, obviously Rick Nash has had that two-way game. He's a very good power forward, but he's very good defensively as well. He can be relied on there. Now he's finding his touch. Chris Kreider needs to find that touch. Him and Miller were put on a line in Florida in a 4-on-4 situation, and we're not bad, which is interesting to say, especially defensively. So I think they're seeing bits and pieces of it here, but they really need to find a way to have that 60-minute complete game, because we have not seen it yet, and I would be surprised if we see it tonight against the Predators, who are a very, very good team. Pekka Rinne, obviously, in net, they have a lot of talent up front. They have a lot of talent in the defensive area. I think this is going to be a good test for the Rangers. They certainly arise to occasions, so I would like to see them emerge right now. It's a quarter of the way season done. You need to start with these things, and we need to see a lot more point getting and scoring from different guys, and you can't rely on especially on a rookie like Oscar Lindberg or a sophomore who seems to be going through a bit of a slump with that line on the third line there. They've been benched a lot of part of the past few games, so we need to see a total emergence of this team and a 60-minute effort. That's what I expect. I expect big things from the game tonight. I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll be a nail-biter, and I think it'll come down to the end, and ultimately the goaltending with Hank and Pekka Rinne and net. So that's what I expect from the Rangers. We'll check in next week. Thank you for listening. This has been Stephen Pierce, Circle the Circle.